Real quick, I turned to my brother yesterday and I said, "Who's 79?" He said, "Barrett Brooks." I mean, Brandon Brooks. I said, "I'm going to tell Barrett you said that you got him in the ball game."
Well, Barrett, in years past, we would come on here on a Monday on Barrett's Breakdown and say, Barrett, we need you out there on the offensive line. Not so much this year, my friend. They seem like they have it quite fine without you.
Well, you know what? I said that this was the top five offensive line. I told you I didn't. I will say this: I missed the ball as far as Chance Warmack being the guy that should be in there. It should be Stephen Wisniewski. He's playing phenomenal. They shouldn't be trading him in and out like that, but I'm going to leave it alone because they're winning right now. But I knew Sam Muller wasn't ready, but once he was taken out and then they put Wiz and Chance in there, things started solidifying a little bit, and that's why this team is winning or where they're winning. The reason this team is as good as it is because it's the core guys that really make things happen, and that's the offensive line and defensive line. When those guys play well, the team usually plays well, and that's exactly what's going on. It's built in the trenches, and the trenches are playing well. So since the trenches are playing well, that team is playing well.
Barrett Brooks, NBC Sports Philadelphia. Eagles post-game live. You see them right after every Eagles game on NBC Sports Philadelphia. And he joins us every Monday for Barrett's Breakdown here. Super Bowl champion, former Eagle offensive lineman. And, you know, the offensive line is a big key, but would you say that they're equally as good in pass protection as they are in run blocking? In other words, do you really have the ability to have a balanced attack because of your offensive line?
Oh, without a doubt. You know, once they showed that they can run the ball, and, you know, this offensive line has been barking at all camp. They said they wanted to run the ball. I mean, even a guy like Kelce, Jason Kelce said, you know, numerous times, we need to run the ball more. We can run the ball if we just go ahead and just do it. If we're getting the opportunity to run the ball, it'll work out better. And that's exactly what's happened. If you can run the ball, it takes everything, you know, off this young quarterback having to carry this team on his shoulders. Why not ride the offensive line? They're used to carrying everybody. They're used to going out there, and then allow them to attack as opposed to, you know, pass blocking and always being in retreat mode. It's harder to pass block. It's easy to run block. When you come off the ball, hitting somebody in the face, you know, hit them in the mouth, that's what you want. You want to impose your will, and that's exactly what this offensive line is doing. They're getting the opportunity to come off the ball, and not every run is going to be a 15-yard run. Not every run is going to be a 10-yard run. But those 2-yard runs, those 3-yard ones start to add up on the defense. They start getting tired, and it really just puts you in the driver's seat of being the aggressor as opposed to being submissive.
So, Barrett, how does potentially losing Lane Johnson on Thursday night against Carolina affect this team? Or is Big V more equipped this time to fill in where it won't be as big a loss? You know, they are 2-8 without Lane Johnson.
It'll be a huge loss if he can't play. This is a very, very good defense. Both ends rush very, very well. It would make a substantial difference. You'd really have to change the whole game plan on how you run things if you just leave him out there by himself. You can't do that. So Lane Johnson not being out really puts you in a bad situation. You don't want to change up what you've been doing, what's been working for the past 3 weeks. You want to have that ability to go out there and call what you want to run, not alter the protection any, and have the ability to pass block one-on-one with your two tackles. I don't know if Big V's ready for that. I'm not saying that he's not, but at this point, Lane can do that, and I don't know if Big V can at this point.
It's Barrett Breakdowns here on 97.3 ESPN. So what, Barrett, in your opinion, has gotten into Jason Kelce? Because there's been times that he's been on the whipping boy and the guy that gets the share of the criticism and stuff, but Carson Wentz mentioned him specifically yesterday for buying that extra second so Carson could go deep down the field, and he's been a strong part of the offensive line in that unit now.
Oh, no question. I mean, he got bullied a little bit in that game because what they do, teams are starting to line up the big tackle, the big nose guard on top of him, and try to create individual matchups between him and the big guy. But he's played well. A couple times with run, he got pushed back, but he's done more good than he's done bad. He is right now the heartbeat of how that offensive line is running, because if you see him on all the crucial blocks, the plays when they score, he's actually one of the main cogs in that whole machine that is getting it done. The play Carson was talking about is it's a blitz where he's actually blocking a defensive lineman, but he understands it's a hot linebacker coming, and just hitting that linebacker just enough to allow Carson to extend and throw the ball. is what you want, and him doing that hot linebacker, he is unblocked. Nobody can block him. He's not accounted for. That's actually Carson's man. He has to understand that this guy's a free blitzer, and if he hits him, if he gets there, then it's on him. There's nothing else nobody can do about it. But that just goes to show you how smart Kelce is. He understood he was the free blitzer. He was able to hit him and hit the defensive lineman and just give him that little bit of opportunity to extend and go through his proper footwork and mechanics to get the ball off. And that's all you could ask from a Pro Bowl center, is for him to go out there and create, plays like that, which gives you an opportunity to score.
Barrett's breakdown with us. Barrett Brooks from NBC Sports Philadelphia. Check him out on the Eagles postgame live on NBC Sports Philadelphia. And Barrett, the running game was the star of the show last week, but really, I thought this week the story was, well, on top of Wentz, who we'll get into in just a bit. He played outstanding, but it was the kind of underappreciated question mark. Torrey Smith, you signed him to give you a big play. He gives you the 50-yarder. Nelson Aguilar, we know his struggles. I think he's having just an outstanding season. I mean, he doesn't have to be a 1,000-yard, 80-catch guy, but he's had some big third down plays. I didn't think that catch was easy that he made yesterday. And then, he extends the play, turns the safety around, gets into the end zone. He looks like a different guy. It seems that guys, Kenyon Barner's punt return, it seems that some of the underappreciated guys really stood out yesterday.
Absolutely. When we talk about next man up, well, it's starting to get to the point where it's not just the next man up, it's the next man up. And all these guys are stepping up, understanding they have something special here. And these players know that. Everybody, with all the loud talk and everything outside of that locker room, didn't give them much of a chance. But if you look at now, they're believing in themselves, they're believing in the coach. How about the progression that Coach Pederson is going through? He's not a guy that wants to run the ball, nor has he ran the ball. But he understood, and he's starting to mature in his play call and understanding. Maybe he looked at Andy Reid and saw that he's matured also in the aspect that he runs the ball more. But they see that you have to have at least the threat of running a rock. And he's progressed in this maturation as a head coach and play caller and understanding that not every play is going to be a 15-yard run. And, those 5 and 10-yard runs, they'll come later on, but you got to still go through a point where you're going to come off the ball, and they may win once or twice, but you can't abandon it. And the years past, he's abandoned that run. He has, he'll just stop altogether like he did in the Kansas City game. Well, he hasn't done that yet, So we're talking about the top 10 defenses for the run. He went out there and still ran the ball on them. I was under the influence that, and I actually said this, that I want to see really where Coach Pederson is in his development and play calling. Will he just have a game plan to go out there and throw the ball, since everybody else hasn't had that ability to run the rock against him? So he said, all right, I'm going to try it anyways. And all his line stood up and were accounted for and went out there and ran it on him. So those guys are maturing, not just Carson, not just off the line, but also Coach Pederson in this play call.
And the threat of a run can sometimes set up the pass. Mike and I talked about this early in the show. Mike, Barrett, I agree. The Eagles, they used the slant game a lot yesterday. What was your take on the slant game? Because they looked like they were very effective with it. It was a big part as to why they're converting on third downs. How did you view the slant game yesterday in the passing game?
Well, if you look at it, for the most part, the Cardinals were a man team, a man coverage team. They had a lot of confidence in Pederson and those guys, Honey Badger. They understand those guys can cover man to man. Well, oddly enough, this game, I guess that they thought that Pederson was going to run the ball, and he did, but they went into more of a zone concept to try to get that 8 defender inside the box to stop the run. Well, what that does, that opens up the slant and gives the ability to run the slant, because you're going to have a free area in the inside and around those hash marks that you can get the ball out to. Well, it worked. But then they started running more man covers, and they were still able to run the slants because they were playing off so much, and they were bringing those blitzes. So it was just the perfect game plan, and it worked out perfectly because they caught them with their pants down. They understood what they were trying to do, and he countered it so fast that the Cardinals couldn't recounter his counter. So, that's why they were running. They wanted to go in with a zone concept. The Eagles turned around, started running the rock, even in their zone concept, because they were trying to put the defender in the hole. and they just played better than they did, which led to them going out and really execute whatever they wanted to execute against that Cardinals team.
Hey, let's flip to the defense. Malcolm Jenkins, I thought yesterday was a big factor. You know, he basically took the assignment on Larry Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald killed him. Patrick Robinson, I mean, he's had a great season, but yesterday he was really good. I thought Jalen Mills, the secondary, you know, really had a great day. And I think a lot of it is you see the technique has changed a lot. You know, last year, very rarely did you see Nolan Carroll and the group that they had turn around and look for the ball. These guys, I'm not saying they're all Pro Bowlers or anything, but they certainly seem like their technique is much better.
Well, that's the thing. The technique is definitely better. If you look at them, these guys are starting to ride the hips of the receivers a lot more. You know, and they're not just looking at the receiver. They're concentrated not just on where the receiver is going, but they have a hand on them, and they're playing the position the way it's supposed to be played. They're trying to play inside out, keep an eye on the quarterback, and feel where the receiver is. That way they are able to turn around and make a play on the ball as opposed to just looking at the receiver and just trying to play the receiver as opposed to the ball. That's something Coach Underland has changed up. Last year, I think the first 2 years, he didn't do that. This year, he took a lot of time and changed these guys' technique up. And another thing they did in this last game, they played closer to the receiver. They played a little more aggressive. And I thought it would be the opposite. Since Brown and those guys were fast guys, you know, if you look at John Brown and the other Brown, these guys are 4-3 guys, you know, sub 4-4 guys. They played them aggressive. They were up in their faces. They didn't allow them to take the little slant goes and things of that nature. They played them tight on, which is a total difference of what they played this season. So these guys, you know, are starting to get better and better and more confident in their skill set. Even though they aren't the fastest guys in the world, they understand where they got to funnel their guys at and are playing well and alter these guys' routes also. So my hat goes off to Coach Underland, changing his philosophy, changing his theories on how he's going to play with these players, and they've taken it and ran with it.
Hey, BB, how impressed are you with the way that they've dominated on defense without Fletcher Cox? I mean, a lot of people didn't know who Tim Jernigan was. They were sad to lose Benny Logan. I was in that category when Benny Logan left the team. But, man, Jernigan, he's been a beast.
You know what? When Cox does get back, him and Jernigan, that's I mean, pick your poison when you're an offensive coordinator and you have to block both of these guys. I mean, how do you do it? You know, you used to be able to just slide to Cox all the time and Brandon Graham to keep them from causing havoc. Well, you can't do that now. Now you have to man block these guys because you can't slide one way because now Jernigan will take over on the other side of the ball. It's a nice balance that they have right now on the inside, pressing the pocket, and these guys are so good that you can't just concentrate on one guy. It really makes you put your hands behind your back and tie them up when you're an offensive coordinator, when you can't block either of those guys in the middle and double team either of those guys, because even on the outside, these guys are playing well also. So because they've got better position-wise at the three techniques, and then, you know, you have a guy to complement BG on the other side, that's really making these offensive coordinators uneasy. Can't just pick one side and concentrate on one side and send protection to that guy.
We're talking with Barrett Brooks, NBC Sports Philadelphia, for Barrett's breakdown here. Let's break down Carson Wentz, and really, I call them the Z-Boys, Wentz and Ertz, man. Those combinations are really starting to blossom here. You wonder when teams are going to start the game plan a little bit more for Ertz, because it seems like the Eagles are continuing to get him involved in just a variety of ways.
Well, they are game planning them. You know, I think that they try to bracket Ertz for the most part, and that's exactly why they were able to go throw the other touchdown to the other tight end. You know, because of that, they're game planning, making sure they bracket him, and it's opening up things for everybody else. Nelson Aguilar was all alone with that post route and crossing the field because they bracketed underneath Zach Ertz. That's where the safety was. He was so worried about where Ertz was that he didn't see over the top either Smith or on the touchdown with Nelson Aguilar because they were doubling on Zach Ertz. So I mean, it's a double-edged sword when you have to focus on one guy and everybody else is a matchup nightmare. So I'm telling you what, Nelson Aguilar is still probably the best route runner and most explosive receiver we have. And once he starts getting that rapport with Carson Wentz, he's going to be a great target also. Once Matthews left, it was, almost passed on to him, and he's finally starting to reap the benefits and rewards of being that slot receiver, and even on the outside.
To me yesterday, Barrett, this was just a lot of one-on-one victories. This was you beat your guy, and the Eagles almost to a man won the man-on-man, the one-on-one matchups to wideouts.
Individual matchups.
Yeah, from wideouts beating their man to offensive linemen beating their man to defensive linemen winning the one-on-ones. It just seemed that and you don't see that often in the NFL where one team is just simply winning the matchups across the board.
Yeah, and that's the one thing that they've been preaching, and especially the players. The players are taking it upon themselves to win the individual matchup. Malcolm Jenkins against Larry Fitzgerald. You look on the outside, both of the two tackles, everybody talked about how good that, this rush defense was. They were burying guys on the edges, running those outside zones. That has a lot to do with the big tackles and the tight ends working together, double teaming and able to get the edge because of their dominating those guys. Even Carson Wentz going against the Honey Badger and understanding he's a guy that likes to jump routes, and he looked them off a lot of the times, giving him the ability to throw on the other side with the back shoulder throws. Those individual matchups they're starting to win now. They didn't win last year, and I'm really enthusiastic on how this team is approaching each game. Each game to them, it's just one more notch in their belt. As far as everybody and all these naysayers saying, all right, you guys are ready, you're going to win later. No, they're trying to win now.
Let me ask you this, Barrett. You played for Bill Cowher, correct?
Yes, sir.
Would you say that he was the best coach you ever played for?
Yes.
Okay.
No question.
Now, was he the best football mind, or did you just love playing for him? I mean, in other words, did you play for smarter coaches? Or is he a combination of a great football X and O guy and a guy you just wanted to play for? In other words, I think people look at Doug and say, well, I don't know how great of a coach he is, but the players really like playing for him. Did you have a situation where there was a guy that maybe wasn't the best football coach, but you just loved playing for him?
Now that you say it, man, I might have to use this, man. I appreciate this, Mike. But you're absolutely right.
Tell your producers I won't charge a fee for that.
But I mean, that's exactly right, man. If you look at it, man, we loved playing for Bill Cowher. He wasn't, like you said, the smartest guy as far as knowing everything as far as X's and O's. He didn't, he wasn't in our meeting rooms like that. He was more so a defensive-minded guy. But he allowed his position coaches to coach, and he would communicate to us directly because he was a player's coach. He didn't mind playing the back because he knew he had guys up front that could really, really go out there and teach guys what exactly they were trying to accomplish. I mean, that's exactly what I think Coach Reed is. I said Coach Reed. Coach Pederson is
close
doing.
enough. 220, 221.
Yeah. Right. He's allowing his coaches to go out there and really execute. Coach Phip, he doesn't get into his mix. He allows him to go out there and create a game plan. But also, the guys are starting to communicate with Coach Phipps saying, hey, I know we can boom the ball out the end zone, but how about this? How about we can go down there and make a play and tackle them inside the 10, tackle them inside the 20 as opposed to going to the 25. Coach Phipps listened to his players like Malcolm and them, seeing that they thought they had an opportunity to make a play down there and make them drive a longer field because they kicked it shorter.
Right.
Now, how many guys would listen to their players and allow them to do that? If you look at Pederson, he said, look, I'm going to rely on the offensive line. They say they want to run the ball and they can do it. I'm going to go ahead and run it, and it's paid dividends for him. He's a player's coach. He allows his coaches to go out there and coach. And, I think that's the relationship that's becoming a homogeneous relationship between these guys. They like playing for him because they know he's going to have their back. And he's fell on the sword for a bunch of these guys also.
Yeah, that to me is a very fascinating, topic of, you got these guys who are like boy wonder. Maybe they are great X and O guys, but they rub the players the wrong way. And then you have other guys who maybe aren't as X and O savvy, but you guys love playing for them. I find that to be a dynamic that doesn't get talked about a lot at this level. It's who's the smartest football coach and who knows the most and who calls the best plays. Well, sometimes that's not as good as you wanting to pour it out on the line for the guy.
Well, that's exactly what it is. I mean, look at Gruden. I played with Gruden My first 4 years in the league.
He was a coordinator for you. He wasn't the head coach. He was a coordinator, right?
No, he was a coordinator, and they couldn't stand him. But he had a great football mind, but he wasn't necessarily a player's coach.
Right.
Him and Ricky Waters was like oil and water. They were good for each other when the plays called, but anytime after that or anytime before that, they were almost like enemies.
For who, for what, Barrett? For who, for what?
Exactly. So you're absolutely right. That's probably the best way that you can really make. I can really make it.
More on this tonight on Quick Slants with Barrett Brooks.
He's absolutely going to be in there. I'm about to go tell him right now.
From NBC Sports Philadelphia, Barrett Brooks. Check him out on Quick Slants tonight, and of course after every Eagles game on NBC Sports Philadelphia. Another Barrett Brooks breakdown in the books. Thanks, BB.
Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good one up.